Imagine a world where your voice truly matters, where every citizen has a say in the future of their society. Welcome to a journey through the birth of democracy in ancient Greece, a concept that still shapes our world today. More than 2,500 years ago, in the heart of Athens, a revolutionary idea was born: democracy. Derived from the Greek words demos, meaning the people, and kratos, meaning power, democracy marked an unprecedented shift in governance. For the first time in recorded history, power was placed in the hands of ordinary citizens, not just kings, rulers, or elites. This radical idea allowed citizens to have a voice in the decisions that shaped their lives, laying the foundation for political systems that continue to influence the modern world. But why Athens? Why Greece? At a time when most of the world adhered to monarchic or authoritarian systems, Athens stood out due to its unique social, cultural, and economic dynamics. The city was a thriving hub of trade and ideas, fostering an environment where debate and intellectual exploration flourished. Its relatively small and close-knit population encouraged civic participation, while a robust economy supported by maritime trade allowed Athenians the time and resources to engage in public life. These factors combined to create the perfect setting for an experiment in governance that would change the course of history. The birth of democracy in Athens wasn't just a sudden decision. It evolved over time, through reforms spearheaded by leaders like Solon, who laid early groundwork, and Cleisthenes, often called the father of democracy, who introduced key structural changes to empower citizens. This transformative system, although far from perfect, remains one of humanity's most significant achievements, influencing countless societies and igniting discussions about freedom, equality, and governance that persist to this day. It all began with Cleisthenes. Known as the father of Athenian democracy, Cleisthenes introduced groundbreaking reforms in 508 BCE that forever changed Athens and laid the foundation for modern democratic systems. At the core of his vision was a desire to diminish the influence of powerful aristocratic families and to empower ordinary citizens. To achieve this, he reorganized the population into demes, or tribes, based on geography rather than wealth, status, or family heritage. This restructuring ensured fairer representation across the city-state, providing citizens from all backgrounds with a voice in governance and breaking the stranglehold of the elite on political power. The assembly, or Ekklesia, became the beating heart of this new democratic system. It was an open forum where citizens gathered to debate, discuss, and vote on legislation. The assembly allowed thousands of eligible Athenian men to participate directly in decision-making. Laws were no longer dictated by the whims of a single ruler or a small group of aristocrats. They were crafted and enacted by the people, for the people. This shift marked a revolutionary moment in history, as ordinary citizens were given the power to shape their own society through collective decision-making. Cleisthenes' reforms not only transformed Athens, but also set a precedent for participatory governance that continues to inspire democratic systems today. While Athens pioneered democracy, it wasn't quite the same as the systems we know today. In the Athenian system, only free male citizens were allowed to participate in the political process, which meant that women, slaves, and non-citizens were entirely excluded from having a voice. This narrow definition of citizenship significantly limited who could contribute to decision-making. Voting was conducted directly, with citizens gathering to cast their decisions on every major issue, from military strategies to legal rulings. In contrast, modern democracies rely on elected representatives to make decisions on behalf of the people, a system designed to manage the complexities of governing large, diverse populations. The ancient Athenians laid the foundation for democratic governance, establishing principles like civic participation and public debate. However, it would take centuries of gradual progress, including the inclusion of marginalized groups and the development of representative systems, for democracy to evolve into the forms seen across much of the world today. The principles established in Athens didn't end with the fall of ancient Greece. Instead, they laid the foundation for countless generations of political thought and institutions. Ancient Greek democracy introduced concepts that were revolutionary for their time, emphasizing the active participation of citizens in governance and the idea that power should not rest in the hands of a select few. These ideas have echoed through history, shaping pivotal moments such as the drafting of the Magna Carta, the American Declaration of Independence, and even the formation of modern international bodies like the United Nations. Greek democracy provided the first comprehensive blueprint for prioritizing equality, civic participation, and collective decision-making as the cornerstone of governance. Core values like majority rule, equality before the law, and freedom of speech trace their origins back to the democratic practices of ancient Greece. These principles not only revolutionized governance in their own era, but continue to inspire the modern democratic ideals we hold today, reminding us of the enduring legacy of Athenian innovation. Of course, democracy has never been without its challenges. Even in ancient Athens, often regarded as the birthplace of democracy, corruption, inequality, and the exclusion of large portions of society, such as women, slaves, and non-citizens, undermined its ideals. The system depended heavily on the active participation of citizens, an expectation that not everyone was willing or able to fulfill, whether due to personal circumstances, disinterest, or systemic barriers. Despite its flaws, Athenian democracy laid the foundation for the representative systems we see today. Modern democracies face similar struggles, albeit on a much larger and more complex scale. Issues like political polarization, the spread of misinformation in an era of rapid digital communication, and growing voter apathy continue to challenge the integrity of democratic systems. Additionally, economic disparities, lobbying influences, and unequal access to political participation further complicate the process. These pressing issues raise significant questions about how democratic systems can evolve to address modern realities while staying true to their foundational principles of equality, fairness, and representation. Despite these challenges, democracy endures as a testament to the power of people coming together, united by a shared vision for self-governance. The ancient Greeks may not have perfected the system. They grappled with limitations, exclusions, and inequalities. But their revolutionary idea of empowering citizens to shape their future has transcended millennia. This vision has inspired countless societies to adopt governance by the people, adapting and refining the concept to fit their unique challenges and aspirations over time. Today, as we navigate the complexities of the modern world, ranging from technological disruption to social polarization, the lessons of ancient Greece remind us of the immense responsibility that comes with democracy. It is not a static system but a living, evolving practice that requires vigilance, participation, and a commitment to equity. The limitless potential of democracy shines when citizens raise their voices in unison, not only to advocate for change, but to safeguard the principles of justice and freedom that define it. The Agora was the bustling heart of ancient Athens, a vibrant marketplace where goods, services, and ideas flowed freely. It was more than just a hub of commerce. It was a vital social and political space that shaped the very fabric of Athenian life. Here, citizens from all walks of life gathered not only to trade, but to engage in spirited discussions about political issues, philosophy, and cultural matters. The Agora served as a space where Athenians could share thoughts, debate pressing concerns, and prepare for participation in the Ekklesia, the assembly that was central to their democratic system. Democracy in Athens didn't exist in isolation. It thrived in a culture of active dialogue, debate, and even dissent, all of which were nurtured in this dynamic public arena. The Agora symbolized more than commerce. It was democracy in action. It was a place where free speech took center stage, and civic duty was a shared responsibility. Whether discussing legislation, listening to philosophers like Socrates, or participating in public decision-making, the Agora embodied the principles of engagement and participation that defined Athenian democracy. It was a living example of how democracy relies on the collective participation of its citizens in both thought and action. Education was integral to democracy. Young males in Athens were expected to learn rhetoric, philosophy, mathematics, and ethics, not just for personal enrichment, but to prepare them for active citizenship and leadership within their community. These subjects equipped them with the ability to debate, reason, and make informed decisions, which were vital skills in the democratic assemblies and courts. The Athenians understood that an educated populace was essential for informed decision-making in a self-governed society, ensuring that democracy functioned effectively and fairly. Participation in democracy wasn't merely a right, it was a civic duty and a cornerstone of Athenian identity. Citizens were expected to engage in public discourse, vote, and hold office when called upon. The Athenians recognized the unbreakable link between education and the strength of their democratic process, believing that a well-informed citizenry was the foundation of a thriving, equitable democracy. While democracy celebrated equality, Athenians were deeply aware of the dangers posed by individuals seeking excessive power. Enter ostracism, a unique and fascinating practice where citizens gathered once a year to vote on whether someone posed a threat to the stability of their democracy. If the majority agreed, the individual would be exiled from the city for 10 years. This wasn't intended as a punishment for a crime, but as a precautionary measure to prevent the rise of tyranny. The person exiled retained their property and could return after the period was over, reflecting the Athenians' focus on fairness and foresight rather than vindictiveness. Ostracism highlighted how Athenians carefully balanced their commitment to freedom with practical safeguards against its potential misuse, ensuring their democracy remained resilient and protected against those who might abuse it. While democracy in Athens was groundbreaking and marked a pivotal moment in political history, it was far from all-inclusive. Women, enslaved individuals, and metics, resident foreigners, were entirely excluded from participating in the political process. These groups, who together constituted a significant portion of the population, had no access to voting rights, public office, or the decision-making assemblies that defined Athenian democracy. This exclusion underscores the limited scope of what was considered democratic in ancient Athens, where political power was concentrated in the hands of free male citizens. Despite their exclusion from political life, these marginalized groups played crucial roles in shaping Athenian society. Women managed households and contributed to familial stability. Enslaved individuals provided essential labor that fueled the economy, and metics drove commerce, trade, and cultural exchange. Their contributions were vital to Athens' prosperity and cultural legacy, yet they remained voiceless in the democratic process. This disparity raises an important question for modern democracies. How can we ensure true inclusiveness and representation for all members of society, regardless of their background or status? Religion played a deeply woven role in Athenian democracy, shaping both its practices and its values. The city of Athens was dedicated to Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war, who was believed to protect and guide the city. Her influence was so significant that the Parthenon, a grand temple in her honor, stood at the heart of the city as a symbol of divine support. Public decisions were often made with guidance from the gods, ensuring that spiritual beliefs were integrated into civic life. Rituals, sacrifices, and offerings frequently preceded major votes or political gatherings, as the Athenians sought favor and wisdom from the divine. For the Athenians, democracy and spirituality coexisted as two interconnected pillars of civic life. Participating in the democratic process wasn't just a political act, it was a religious duty, believed to honor the gods and maintain the city's harmony. Citizens saw their involvement in governance as a way to uphold their responsibilities to both their community and the divine. This unique combination of democracy and spirituality reinforced their commitment to both the political system and their faith, creating a society where the sacred and the civic were deeply intertwined. The Ekklesia wasn't just symbolic, it was the engine of Athenian governance and a cornerstone of their democracy. Citizens gathered on the Nix Hill, an open-air meeting space overlooking the city, to deliberate and vote on pressing matters ranging from war strategies and foreign alliances to public expenditures and new laws. Participation wasn't limited to an elite few. Every free male citizen, regardless of wealth or status, had the right to speak and vote, embodying the radical idea that all citizens had a role in shaping the future of their city-state. Decisions made in the Ekklesia had real, tangible effects on the lives of Athenians, reinforcing the importance of active civic engagement. Such gatherings remind us of the extraordinary energy, dedication, and commitment required to sustain a direct democracy, a system where the involvement of the people was not just encouraged, but essential for its survival. Beyond the Ekklesia, the Boule, or Council 500, played a crucial role in the governance of ancient Athens. This body was responsible for preparing legislation and guiding the larger assembly, ensuring that proposals were well organized and ready for debate. Unlike modern legislative bodies, membership in the Boule was determined through a lottery system, a deliberate choice aimed at preventing corruption, reducing elitism, and promoting equal opportunity among citizens. This lottery system ensured that governance was not monopolized by the wealthy or influential, but was instead a reflection of the broader population. Members of the Boule served one-year terms, and strict rules limited citizens to serving no more than twice in their lifetime. These regulations reinforced the Athenian belief that governance should be a shared responsibility, with every eligible citizen having the chance to contribute. The Boule's structure and operation symbolized the democratic ideals of Athens, emphasizing fairness, rotation of power, and active civic participation in shaping the future of the city-state. Democracy isn't free. In ancient societies like Athens, funding for public projects, maintaining the navy, and supporting civic activities came directly from taxes. Wealthy citizens, known as liturgists, were often obligated to finance essential public services, including grand festivals, theatrical productions, and even the construction and upkeep of warships. This practice not only reinforced their civic responsibility, but also showcased their wealth and status within the community. This system ensured that the financial burden of sustaining democracy and its institutions was shared across society, with the wealthiest contributing the most. It was a foundational concept in balancing public welfare with private wealth, a principle that remains a subject of debate in modern economies as societies continue to grapple with how to fund public goods equitably. Art and democracy flourished side by side in ancient Athens, creating a unique synergy between culture and governance. The Theater of Dionysus, nestled at the foot of the Acropolis, became a vibrant hub where citizens gathered to experience plays that delved into profound themes of justice, morality, and civic duty. Through their tragedies and comedies, playwrights such as Sophocles and Aristophanes not only entertained but also challenged societal norms, critiqued governance, and stimulated public debate on critical issues of the time. The arts encouraged Athenians to think deeply about their political systems, fostering a society where self-reflection and dialogue were integral to democracy. This interplay between cultural expression and political engagement proved that democracy isn't just about laws and institutions. It's about the values, ideas, and conversations that unite a community. The rise of democracy extended beyond Athens, influencing other city-states and shaping governance in ancient Greece. City-states began forming alliances, creating structured systems where decision-making was shared across regions, fostering a sense of unity and collaboration. One notable example was the Delian League, led by Athens, which sought partnerships with other states to strengthen mutual defense and economic ties against external threats, particularly the Persian Empire. However, Athens' growing dominance within the League sparked tensions and resentment among its allies. These power struggles eventually escalated into conflicts, such as the Peloponnesian War, a devastating clash between Athens and Sparta that reshaped the political landscape of Greece. These alliances were an early example of collective governance, a precursor to modern organizations like the European Union. Under the leadership of Pericles, Athens reached its golden age, a period marked by remarkable achievements in art, philosophy, and governance. The city thrived economically, benefiting from extensive trade and a strong naval presence, and culturally, with monumental projects such as the Parthenon symbolizing its greatness. Democracy became more robust during this time, as Pericles introduced payments for public office, allowing even the poorest citizens to participate in civic life and decision-making processes. This era demonstrates how economic stability and a strong democratic system can reinforce each other, creating a society where every citizen feels empowered to engage and contribute to the prosperity and cultural richness of the community. Like any system, Democracy in Athens faced significant challenges and ultimately succumbed to a combination of external pressures and internal divisions. The Peloponnesian War, a prolonged and costly conflict with Sparta, drained the city's resources and left its citizens weary. Meanwhile, increasing polarization and power struggles among political factions within Athens weakened its democratic foundation, eroding trust in the system. The fall of democracy in Athens serves as a powerful warning about the fragility of self-governance when conflict, inequality, and internal disunity take root. It highlights the importance of unity, shared responsibility, and vigilance in maintaining a functioning democracy. From Athens to modern nations, the democratic experiment has evolved over centuries, adapting to new societies and challenges. But the lessons remain as relevant as ever. Active participation, widespread education, and equitable representation are the cornerstones of any thriving democracy. Ancient Athens, often hailed as the birthplace of democracy, reminds us that self-governance is never a finished product, but rather a continuous process of improvement. Their system, though far from perfect, laid the groundwork for modern democratic principles and serves as a timeless reminder that the success of democracy depends on the engagement and commitment of its citizens. The ideals of freedom and equality espoused in ancient Athens continue to stand as a beacon of inspiration for societies around the world. These principles, though revolutionary for their time, remind us of the enduring importance of a system that values the voice of the people. However, democracy is only as strong as the people who defend and nurture it. It requires active participation, vigilance, and commitment from each generation to uphold its promise. The next generation, with its fresh perspectives and innovative ideas, holds the power to move these ideals forward and adapt them to the challenges of a changing world. Will we heed the lessons of Athens, learn from its triumphs and mistakes, and do our part to ensure democracy not only survives but thrives for centuries to come? The video concludes with a return to the Acropolis, glowing against a starry sky, symbolizing the timelessness of democratic ideals. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this video. Leave your thoughts on what democracy means in today's world.